What's up, everybody? It is the Command Time podcast presented by the Fan First Sports Network. We are back with a episode. We are getting ready for the NFL Combine that is starting this week with a bunch of players. And Adam Peters has already spoke. Dan Quinn has already spoke. We discussed those conversations today. We also already talked about the big news about Jonathan Allen being looking for a trade. Will it happen? Will it not? We're going to discuss many things on the Commanders as they get ready for the NFL Combine. This is Command Time Podcast, presented by the Fans First Sports Network, live on YouTube. Let's kick it.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Yeah, we ready right now. It's about time. I know it's about time. It's about time.
What's going on into the Command Time Podcast? It is your boy DT Sensei, and we got Caleb in the building. Bro, it's been a while.
Yeah, it has. People got we got a lot of stuff going on, but it's the off season. The off season may go by quicker, just like the regular season did. Hopefully, it does, because I really want to see who we're going to add to this team in the future. It's going to be exciting off season, interesting off season too.
Most definitely, man. When we look at this off season after the season we just had, um, never thought we would get talked about like this on a national spectrum. Contenders is something that there were years where they're like they're trying to push us a bit, but it was like there's still no realism. But this feels absolutely real. This feels like the beginning of a brand new era for Washington football. This team is getting the respect as we desperately need it for the years to come. But hey, that's what happens when you win. When you win, the national attention comes to you. And with that being said, now that the national attention is on us, there's been a lot of things that has been discussed in the past couple of weeks, and it looks like one of those rumors has started to become true. Breaking news yesterday was that Jonathan Allen has been given permission to seek a trade from the Washington Commanders. So Caleb, Jonathan Allen was the 2017 first round pick for one of the past regimes. He was one of the longest tenured players outside the Tressway. Um, a solid career here, but it was a lot of ups and downs. Mainly the downs was being on bad teams, but also the last 2 years has been his play. What are your thoughts about this? Did you expected this, or does this come at you in a way of like, okay, I did not expect this to actually happen?
I'm not surprised that they're doing this. I'm not surprised. I wanted them to do it last year and strike while the iron was hot. However, I could see they probably were curious to see what his market was because his contract is expiring. But they also wanted to see what he was going to do this year at the same time. So he wasn't as impactful this year as you would want him to be. He had a few solid games every now and then, but the timetable doesn't mesh with what we're trying to do. Like you can see with Terry performed. He had a career year. He was second team All Pro. He had the second most receiving touchdowns among all receivers. He was top 12 or top 11 in receiving yards this year. He performed to the highest level. He had elite games and he had elite moments. John Allen did not. And their contracts are on the same kind of They were expiring around the same time. John Allen has one more year left. I think Terry has one more year left as well. They're going to extend Terry. How much they give him, what they give him. But with John Allen, um, I just think he wasn't as impactful this year, and his play didn't live up to his contract. I'm not surprised. I just wish they did it last year. You probably would have got more value last year. Whereas just defensive line, defensive tackle class is deep. It's like as a team, it's like why should we give you a third for this guy when I can get younger? You know, unless you get that one desperate team, or if Adam Peters can add another pick to get a higher draft pick along with John Allen, that would be very cool to do. But I'm not surprised by what they're doing. I didn't think they would do it. Um, Probably this early, but it is what it is at this point. Hopefully, they find a trade suitor. You can get a late round pick back for them.
Yeah, I'm gonna be honest with you. Well, it's no need to be honest, like just being real. We all knew this was coming. There's been too many chatters, too many writings on the wall, and it all started when they drafted Johnny Newton in the second round last year. It was a sign that one of these defensive tackles was more likely going to be hitting the can next year. But obviously, it made more sense for Jonathan Allen since his contract had no guarantees within it. And Deron Payne, while yes, we talking about moving him, it's going to be a little bit hard to move him based on his cap hit for this upcoming season. So it just makes sense at this point. Honestly, I kind of hate it because he's one of those guys that's been there when the team has been at the lowest point, and he's been at least at some point the light of trying to wade through until last year where it just eventually cracked for him. This team was just going to be the same team until DQ comes. Now, when we talk about performance, the last 2 years have been very underwhelming, including the entire defensive line. And he's when you pay this guy that amount of money, we expect you to play at least a top 10 level that we all describe and we all tell our NFL peers. But we have not seen that from Jonathan Allen. We also have not seen that from Deron Pay either. So, thus, this Alabama Wall experiment has truly, and I mean truly, did not pan out. Um, they have been really average at best. Yes, Donna Allen has two Pro Bowls. Yes, Deron Payne has had the 1 year of double digit sacks, but there was never no consistency. There was never no consistency, and you never really felt
Their
the
presence,
dominance.
yeah.
Never felt the dominance in games when they were playing, compared to what you see in Philadelphia with a Jalen Carter, compared to what you see with a Chris Jones in Kansas City or Jeffrey Simmons in Tennessee. Like those guys dominate. We can't really say that for these two guys, especially Jonathan Allen. And I think when we look at this trade market, I think I do agree with you. Um, I do wish. I think also the injury probably played a little bit as well. But regardless, I think if we were to make a move, it should have been last year. If he wasn't healthy, um, no, if he wasn't hurt, I believe they truly would have made the move. It would have made more sense. But I think at best right now, when we're looking at this market, and I also said this on Enter the Lab podcast too. I think another factor that's going to be probably going to be a big hit to Jonathan Allen too is the amount of talent coming out of this defensive line class as well. And I want people to understand that this class is crazy deep at defensive tackle. So when you're looking at this free agency market, like yes, Allen may be somewhat a cream of the crop, but would you rather pay a Jonathan Allen or get a Walter Nolan on a rookie contract, a Mason Graham on a rookie contract? I think those are going to be the biggest factors heading into free agency as well, because as deep as this D line class is, specifically at the interior, I don't see a lot of teams mostly trying to fetch unless it is like a day three pick, which a lot of people are expecting somewhere in the fifth or sixth round. If we get a fifth for him, I think that's probably honestly the best case scenario. Anything
Yeah,
would be a
yeah,
lease.
yeah. I would at this point. I would like a fourth for them. They can get a fourth. That'd be really dope too. It depends on. It really depends on how the draft goes and what team it is. It really does depend on. I think you can get a fourth for them, but realistically speaking, it's going to be a fifth, sixth, or seventh. Hopefully not a seventh or a sixth. If they can get a fourth or a fifth, I'd be cool with that. Or if they flip the player, if they flip them for another player, you could do that. Depending on what that position is, depending on who that name is. Like I know some people have said, let's flip Cooper, let's flip John Allen for Cooper Cup, or let's flip John Allen for Debo Samuel.
I've already seen some 49er fans talk about.
I wouldn't be upset at that. I wouldn't be upset at that. You get a position of need at receiver, but you can still add to the draft. You know, I mean, if you want to get a pick back, sure. I mean, but I wouldn't be upset if they flipped them.
Yeah, I
If they
think
flip them.
I think the best case scenario, like you said, is to me when I look at this draft, and a lot of people are always going to say it's a meat and potatoes draft. I think trying to acquire a fourth rounder would be very huge for Adam Peters because
We don't have a fourth round pick. Yeah.
yeah, we don't have a fourth round pick, and the value and how deep certain spots are. Um, I think he can work some magic like he did last year. And I know people are very, hyping about the wide receiver spot, all about T Higgins and things like that, which I get it. I'm also the type of person like I want a T Higgins, but I honestly don't. I honestly really don't see that as of right now a priority. Um, I think right now just getting some vet wide receivers, whether it's a Cooper Cup, Christian Kirk, Debo Samuels, and probably another vet to go in there, resign a couple of guys, and draft a young guy in that group. I think you can make that work. I think the bigger thing in terms of skill position needs to be running back.
Yeah. I mean, what's his name? Uh, Jeremy Fowler on ESPN saying Commanders they will. I know everybody talks about the wide receiver two and all and whatnot. Yes, he is correct, and I think he's very accurate at this. And it could most likely could happen. They could add a Christian Kirk. They could add a Debo or a Cooper Cup. They could add a vet receiver, and they're going to invest on the front four and the offensive line. I could very much see that. I could very much see that. He said that on ESPN. So that was very refreshing to hear for me because I really valued the trenches. Um, but they should add a young receiver to this room. A guy that has some type of um, upside. Like if they could get a Trey Harris, I would. Oh my goodness, that's a home run for me. You have Trey Harris, you have Christian Kirk, you have Scary Terry. You could add another vet receiver for like a 2 year deal. Get Christian Kirk in here for 2 years. Get another receiver in here for 2 years, and you get a young guy in the draft. That way you develop him, and but you still got competent guys around your quarterback.
Yeah,
I really with this roster, we have a lot of guys we need to bring back. I think we barely have 30 players under contract on this team out of the 53. They have to fill in. They have to fill in 20 spots. How they do that is not. They're not gonna. I mean, John Keim also said this on his pod too. Just listening to him, he really believes they're going to not do a lot of home run signings yet, but he's going to be methodical in free agency. But you're really going to build through the draft, and they're going to keep doing that. And they may do that again next year. And then I think after that third year, that's when you swing for the fences and say, "F it, let's do this, let's do that." Now's our time to really push this thing through. Instead of You get T Higgins for a 4 year deal. You give him close to 30 mil a year. Um, so he's going to. I wouldn't say he's not going to eat up all the cap, but he's going to take up some of that cap money. He's going to be a huge cap hit. But you still have to add guys to this roster in free agency. But you can't just live throughout free agency. Like he's going to build through that draft,
Yeah,
and I just want him to focus on the O line and D line. So they got some work to do, but I don't have any doubts with this front office. They know what they're doing. They've been having scouts since the middle of the season, so they know what they're looking for.
yeah, I agree. And another thing to add on with the conversation about Allen and the D line, um, if if you let John Allen go, obviously there's going to be a hole there. Um, and yes, I know people are going to say Johnny Newton will fill that spot, but when I look at this defense, I know a lot of people were automatically going talking about Osa to DC. We got to slow our rolls on that because when I see Johnny Newton, I see Osa. At first, I was an Osa guy, but the more I evaluated and I looked at Osa Izuzua for the Dallas Cowboys, Johnny Newton is basically
The same thing, the same
the
archetype.
same player, pass rushing defensive tackles, but very average or below average against the run game. So you need a guy that's able to stop the run to complement with him to eat up those blocks. I don't think you would do something like that. Now, maybe, and I know it's probably unlikely that maybe a Milton Williams might make more a little bit more sense. He looked like a guy who could do both. But Sheldon Day is also a free agent. We signed him. Jalen Holmes, a free agent. We both of those guys we signed mid-season. Those guys be free agents. I probably could see one of them coming back, but it's going to be interesting to see how they try to revamp this defensive line, knowing they're trying to find an edge rusher. And now with the news of Jonathan Allen, you're more likely going to be looking for another defensive tackle.
Yeah, I mean, I would want to find guys that complement each other, but they could get a Tyreek Williams. You're an Ohio State fan. They could get a Tyreek Williams, a guy that can just take up space. We could like develop him into a pocket pusher, a guy uh, like a version of Vita Vea, something like that. And then you got your pass rushing D tackle, and then you add an edge to that. Um, an edge that has freakish athletic skills. He can be raw, but you want to develop him, and they have the coaching staff to do that. They're going to draft athletic guys. Like they're everybody hates on the RAS score stuff, and I get it. It doesn't determine if a player is going to be really good, or it doesn't determine if a player is going to be bad. But last year they drafted a lot of athletic guys, and they want to coach them up. They want to coach them up, and they want to develop them and give them significant reps throughout the season, but also put them in the best position to succeed. That goes with Mike. That goes with Mikey. That goes with Johnny Newton. And, Ben Sinnott didn't get that much burn, but, Zach Ertz played pretty well. But you just look at the draft last year, um, they drafted a lot of athletic guys. And I think that trend is going to continue throughout this draft process. And probably, I wouldn't say the free agent process, but they just got to get guys that can be the catalyst, be the cornerstone pieces of this team.
Yeah, I agree, man. This is where team building starts. Starting to formulate and put your formula out there for this team, and hopefully, we follow the vision like we did last year. I also didn't. I also don't expect us to go crazy like everybody wants us to do. I'm not just talking about our fan base. I'm talking about national media as well. Um, I also think that they're gonna address signing those key guys last year, like a Zach Ertz, a Bobby Wagner, um, Jeremy Chin, like those guys. They're gonna invest in signing those guys back. Then they'll try to make moves on the outside guys that we are anticipated, or it could be somebody we haven't even talked about. But I expect Adam Peters and them to do their thing come free agency. Speaking of Adam Peters, he had his presser yesterday to discuss the things for the Washington Commanders. Um, I don't know you had a chance to fully listen to it, but
Hmm.
outside of the Jonathan Allen conversation, what were your thoughts that you took away from Adam Peters' presser at the combine?
Um, he's he knows what he's looking for, especially when they ask him about the edge rushers. He gave an example what he looks at physically for edge rushers. 6'5". You got to have speed and power. He knows the athletic traits for a edge rusher. Um, and he's confident in what Brandon Coleman brings to the table as far as the offensive line, him developing. He's also confident in what the team is going to do for the future. Like he knows what he's looking for, and he's going to find it. Whether he stays at 29, whether he trades back, but he shows um, he shows a lot of self awareness as well into what happened this past season and what he's like I said, what he's looking for in the future. It's a lot of self awareness with him from what I see and hear from him.
Okay, so I definitely agree. He knows what type of players he want. They know what they're trying to build.
Hmm.
They know that really outside of the Kansas City Chiefs, we got a lot of people we gotta try to sign back before we even think about making those big crazy movies that we're expecting. Um, Very humble about this process. So I definitely expect the same formula of like last year. Obviously, the question will be in the coming weeks: who are going to be the Frankie Louvu's and Tyler Biotiches of this upcoming free agency class for Washington? And I think when I look at this free agency, yes, there's not a lot of names that brings a lot of zazz to it. But maybe this is perfect for a guy like AP. Just like we talk about the draft class, maybe this is perfect for him to truly build the foundations of the team. We already have some building blocks, obviously, and that obviously starts off with Jada Daniels, having Mikey Sanders still, Brandon Coleman. Those guys already made an immediate impact on this team. We'll get the chance to see a little bit more Senate um, probably this year, hopefully. If not, I do expect them in a deep tight end class, probably draft another tight end again. Um, I'm just very patient and curious to see some of the moves they make. Also, Dan DQ went on today as well. What are your thoughts on that press conference?
Um, just recognizing what he looks for in a player. You could tell, like you said, we want a guy that emphasizes what the team name is, a commander, a guy who takes control, takes responsibility. He's just a ball player. Um, Guy who's physical, guy who competes. They want competitive dogs on this team, and that's something that I believe every fan should want on their team. They want a dog, which no matter what the down and distance is, no matter what the score is, they're going to continue to compete. They're going to continue to play. Um, Also, he knows about the free agents. Um, he said Bobby is working on being better as we speak. So, and knowing Bobby's work ethic, that's what he's going to. He's definitely going to do that. But then Quinn, I feel like he understands the situation, and um, they just want competitive dogs, man. Like just they just very simple with it, in my opinion. I know they asked him a lot of questions about what you learned this season, about the method of the team, how you coached, and also how the team grades were this year. He also showed a lot of humility, a lot of humbleness and honesty about, hey, all those grades. about how the environment was with the team. He said, give credit to Josh Harris for that. And he did change the entire complexity of this team on and off the field. So he does show a lot of humility in that aspect.
Yeah. Um, it's kind of funny that he automatically like talking about Bobby Wagner coming back, and it makes sense because Bobby don't have an agent; he's his own agent. So it already kind of tells you some of the guys that we already expected to come back.
Mm-hmm.
I expect them to come back. I expect Bobby Wagner. I expect Zach Ertz to come back. Uh, I know Jerry Chin is probably going to be their priority guy. They were the one they took a big risk on, and
Maybe Dante Fowler.
now that one might be slightly tricky. There is a world he can't come back, obviously.
I
And
give him a year. I give him another year. I give him another year, and he's a rotational piece. He's a
yeah,
rotational edge rusher. But when you get your guys that can be with the team for a long haul, like Frankie and Tyler Biotis, like you said earlier, we need to find those guys, whether that be a DJ Reed, whether that be a Travarius Ward. Um, I mean, if you want to bring in a Debo and Debo's motivation, him, working out and trying to get better, you could see a brand new Debo. I mean, you never know. Some people laughed at the Bobby signing. Um, but he's still a good player in this league. Smart, instinctual. He's seen everything. Um, so it's really going to be interesting to see what they do with these free agents and who they replace and just who they bring in.
so I have a question for you.
Hmm.
This has been a big debate on group chats and stuff. Um, Out of all those wide receivers that we had last year, how many of them are you bringing back?
Um, I will not bring back Noah Brown. I will bring back Jamison Crowder, and I'll bring back Olamide. I bring them back. Um, Let me look at our roster real quick. Look at the receivers. Uh
I mean, this is string, y'all. I can pull it up out here. I mean,
oh, I'm sorry. I'll
but
bring Diami.
please,
I'll bring Diami back too. I would bring Diami back. I would,
oh,
even though he's replaceable, but I'd bring him back. I give him 2 years. I mean, if he wants to test the market and see what more he can get, sure. But I give him 2 years.
I don't have a problem with what I'm saying. I don't have a problem bringing Yami back. I just I'm very slightly stickler about money at times when it comes to certain players, and with this market, how robust it is, he's more likely going to get what more than what we share to believe that he should get. This was the depth chart last year. So, and those who are green, those are guys who are currently free agents, and that
Mm.
is that's a lot on offense. Also, a lot on defense too.
So I bring back Diami. I bring back Jamison Crowder. And I'll probably bring back Olamide and keep it at that. I try to give them all 2 year deals or a year deal, something. Like any of those guys, I'm not giving over 3 years. And I probably bring 2 or 3 of those guys back. I would definitely do that.
So that means in a room that had seven wide receivers, you would bring
I bring three. Yeah,
five of the seven back. Hmm.
5 of the 7. So Diami, Jameson, and Olamide, I bring back. Yeah, I'll bring them back. I mean, you're gonna have to. I mean,
Are you okay? Are you bringing back Crowder because of special teams?
yes,
Okay, that makes sense.
yes,
So
and I bring
let's say they
Olamide.
find someone that can do the same thing as Jameson.
Then I mean, you get them. I mean, then you pick them up, whether that be an undrafted free agent. Um, you bring them back, but you're going to need a rotation of guys. Like this ain't, and I'm not saying this to you, but I'm just saying this in general. Like this ain't Madden where you can just play with three receivers and not have to worry about injuries, like or not
Yeah,
have to
I
worry
get you.
about their fatigue. Like you're gonna have rotational guys. Like Diami, like let's say you bring in Matt Golden. Let's say you bring in a Trey Harris. You add that to the room, and that's a nice receiver. And let's say you bring in let's say you bring in a Debo, right? So your top three receivers are going to be Terry, Debo, and a rookie. But then you also have De'Ami Brown rotating in and Olamide rotating in, and you still have Luke trying to develop.
Yeah. So that's where I kind of think I'm where I'm at because I think they want Luke to develop, man, and I think right now if you bring a Crowder back, yes, he's good for
It
punt return.
hurts his development. Yeah, maybe it hurts his development. In your opinion,
Yeah, and then like you bring 5 or 7, and you want to draft a rookie, but you're also talking about bringing like a Debo or a Cooper Cup.
forget. So let me rephrase my statement. Let me bring back Diami. Let me bring back Olamide. Bring in a Debo and draft a rookie. And then let's say you bring in an undrafted free agent. There's your receiver room.
And they will. They might have a undrafted guy in there too. That's also. I mean, it depends.
But I
Um,
do agree with your point that a running you could see them adding veteran receivers and get a rookie, but then for your offensive weapon, it's the running back position.
yeah, like
So you could see a Trayvon Henderson, you could see a Dylan Sampson, you could see Caleb Johnson. I know we had a meeting with Ashton Genty, but he's not falling at 29. As crazy as that would be, that run game would be insane. And that read option would be, and I think any read option with an explosive, any read option with these running backs coming out, I think would be really good. Probably other than a few, because I know people talk about Devin Neal. I'm not a big fan of Devin Neal. I think he's good. I just don't. That's not my
I mean, everybody got their
the
preference.
preference. Yeah,
Yeah,
I like a
nothing
Trayvon
wrong with that.
Henderson. I like Caleb Johnson, Dylan Sampson, or you got a Quinshawn Junkins, and then you got your sleepers in the later rounds, like a LaQuint Allen from Syracuse, who can line up as a receiver. And you got your Marcus Yarns of the world, who is a very one cut, I'm out of there type of guy. You got those guys you can bring in. You got a lot of running backs in this class. So, um, but they
Unfortunately, I cannot share any of the names because I also do the Commanders Draft Pod on Sundays. You guys should check that episode as well. So I'm gonna save my name. So you're just gonna have to watch that.
no, you just share them. Like, bro, why
No,
you got to
no,
gatekeep?
no, no.
You always
no.
got to.
I'm gonna
Okay,
gatekeep because I want people to go and tune into those episodes anyway.
okay,
But
okay.
so this is my theory, right? This is my theory when it comes to this draft. We know that the wide receiver spot in the class is somewhat very top heavy. Tier two is like okay, maybe that's where a range we can get some wide receivers. I think me personally, if we get, I'm more structured of trying to get a running back that could completely help this offense in the run game, help Jaden out. You want to have somewhat of the same effect what you saw with Philadelphia they had Saquon Barkley. No, the running backs that we draft are not going to be a Saquon Barkley, but you want to have a consistent run game where to as Jaden should not be the leading rusher. And that's where I'm going. Jaden does not need to be taking those multiple hits and stuff. You're trying to save up some duration during the season. You also got Robinson. Robinson will be the RB2, but you need a guy that can be the lead bell cow and also has the ability to break off a 40, 50, and 60-yard run.
Yeah, this is the class to do it, and like they need to get out. They need to get out of this draft with with one of these explosive backs. They're going to be there in the second round. Um, they're going to be there, even in Amari and Hampton. Um, you need you need to get one of these backs,
Hey,
man.
look, I've been hearing his name so much. I think I started watching him. I went back and watched him when he was with when Drake May was there. If Drake May was not on that team last year, he'll be MVP.
He's really good.
Dude is talented, bro. Dude is like he's like DeMarco Murray. Like,
Would you pick
dude,
him at 29?
would I pick him at 29? If he's the best player available, yeah.
Would you pick him over a Nick Scorton or a Jay or let's
Mm,
say
not if it depends. Like, I wouldn't pick over a premium position like an edge rusher, especially if the edge they love is there. But another problem we're going to have in this draft is somebody that gets drafted at 10, they might have someone with the very same grade, and they probably went earlier at like 25 or 36. Like, you get what I'm saying? Like, some of these guys are going to be graded the same way. So you might see some people be like, oh, okay. I mean, I don't think I'm going to lose. I mean, I got these guys graded the same way, so it is what it is. But when you're talking about premium position, like an edge rusher, that's I think edge rusher and wide receiver, if it's like Lufa Burden, Emeka Ibuka, or Terrion McMillan, that's probably the only time I wouldn't mess with a running back. Tackles, mm, tackle class is tricky because, and this is my other question I was going to ask you because as you see, we only have two free agents on the O line, but we know Cosby is going to be out majority of the season.
yeah,
What would you do to fix the O? What would you do to reinvent the O line until Cosby get back?
I
Are you
draft it. I'll draft a guard. I mean, you can draft a guard in the third round, maybe. I know the interior offensive line class is very bleak. It's very bleak. You got the kid from Georgia, Tate Ratledge. I think he's very good, but like the NF like these teams value trenches, so he's probably going to be gone in the second round. But if you could get a guy in the third round, that could be a solid replacement until Cosme gets back. Will be nice. I know people talk about Trey Smith. I don't think they're spending 20. I don't think they're going to reset the market at guard with Trey Smith. I don't think they're going to do that. So it just depends on the board of free agency, man. Um, it's going to be it's hard to determine what they'll do. Like we everybody thought last year with our 2 seconds and our 2 thirds that we were going to go probably quarterback, tackle, lineman, receiver, corner. Like a lot of people thought we were that's what we were doing, and Adam Peters said, "Nope, I'm picking BPA." And I'm going to trade back to get more assets to get
did?
solid guys that I can develop. You got Mikey, who's an instant starter, and you got Ben Sennett and Luke McCaffrey, who you can't say if they're a miss or a hit yet. But those guys have to develop, and they're young, and they haven't played their position in a long time. Now I know, well, I've seen on social media that Dan Quinn wanted Bucky Irving. There is a report that he wanted Bucky Irving, and then Adam Peters said I would prefer Ben Simmons. You know, but I'm glad they passed on Bucky Irving because it's running back class. There's a lot of running backs in here that I think that can be better than him. At
Yeah,
least,
I remember people said that, and then they were like, "Oh my god!" I was like,
yeah, yeah, like they're tripping out. I'm like, do you not understand this running back classes? Maybe Adam Peters knew what the hell he was doing. I said, look, this running back class next year is going to be crazy. Why should I pick one now when I can wait a year later and get a more explosive back that can be an every down back? So let's say we did pick Bucky Irving last year. Yeah, he would have been productive, but you would have got probably 4 guys, 5 guys that are better. Ashton Gentry's better. Amarian Hampton's better. Trayvon Henderson's better. Caleb Johnson better. Um, you could have. It's multiple. Quinshon Judkins, if you value his ability, you got him. You got the kid from Kansas State. You got Scatterbo. So it just depends on what you value. I'm glad. Maybe he knew what he was doing, man. Like I get it, but hey, man, I think we'll be fine.
"Yeah, I don't have a problem with the running back." So let's look at the defense. So defense right now, you would have you would actually have three, 4 guys on the defensive line. You will have 3 linebackers, and you'll have about 4 guys in the secondary.
Mm. Bring back Bobby. Nick Ballore is a special teamer,
Special
right?
teams. Yeah,
Bring
he's
him
special
back.
teams. He's solid, man.
Bring him back. Bring back Chin. Bring back Noah. So you're bringing back 4 guys out of that defense, and I would say
I
possibly
honestly think
5.
they're going to break Matt Shelton today.
Okay, you bring him back, and I think you try to bring back Dante Fowler, and the rest can kick rocks. Michael Davis, booty. St. Juice, booty. Derek Forrest doesn't see a lot of playing time, which is very unfortunate. Because I actually like his game.
His fall of grace needs to be studied.
So
Yeah. So I agree with you. Um, now, matter of fact, I'm lying to myself because Allen's going to be gone too. So you basically your whole D line is going to be completely different.
completely different.
So yeah, they're gonna have to draft a D tackle, bro. So I honestly, bro,
It could trade back.
and see that's where this is where I'm at as well. Like I know people want to get Miles Garrett. That's my main goal. If we get Miles Garrett, okay, cool, we went all in. But at the same time, I just feel like this is a perfect draft for Adam Peters to fill. You know how like you at the grocery store and
Mm-hmm.
you just getting the essentials.
Yep.
This is a perfect draft for AP to get the essentials. Deep D line, deep running back. Um, you can add these spots, and you get a run blocking defensive tackle to replace Jonathan Allen, and he will basically be the backup because you will have Johnny Newton the starter, but you'll mix it in with 5 man fronts. That could be some elevation right there. They do need a draft a linebacker, in my opinion, uh, to go outside of Wagner. And I know they drafted McGee last year. He could get some reps, but I don't know how many. They definitely need another corner. It's no question. I want Chin back. That'll help the safety room. Um, Another question I have for you too.
Hmm.
Actually, two, and it deals with young players. Would you? The first question is: would you be mad if the Commanders double dipped at tight end at the draft and Senate? That's the first question. And number two,
Like picking two tight ends in this class.
no, like they pick another tight end
Oh,
a year after they drafted Senate.
what tight end are you looking at?
Let's say like
Elijah Arroyo,
Rojo, Mason Taylor, uh, the kid from Bowling Green.
Harold Fannin.
Yeah, like
If
those
they
type.
get if they get Harold Fannin, do you know how explosive this offense could be?
I know,
That's going.
and I asked you that because I know a lot of people said they would feel kind of like dang like because we talked about Ben Simmons last year, but honestly, in my opinion, this
Uh-huh.
is me, and I know everybody says he's the best blocking tight end on the team. Me personally, if Simmons steps up and develops and be the best blocker on the team that equals the same best blocker, I would let go John Bates.
I would too. Well, even if he's a solid blocker, but he can give you some juice in the passing game, I take that too.
Yeah, like Senate
But
Senate provides more yak.
yeah, and he's good down the seams. As far as a route runner, he doesn't have that savviness to him. Um, but he's like when the ball in his hands, he go like he keeps moving. You saw in the just a small sample size that preseason game where he caught it over the seam. I was
Yeah,
like, oh, that's what he can do. Or even in the playoff game where he caught that pass from Tress Way, that's what he can do. And when he has a full speed, full head of steam, he keeps moving. He fights for extra yards, and I like that in the tight end. I like that. You get out of Harold Fannin in this room. Mm, that would be nice. That would be nice. But then again, I don't know if I'm crazy, but let me ask you this: if you add a Harold Fannin, do you still add to the receiver room? Because let's say you add. This may sound nasty, but they won't do this. Let's just say you have Terry. Let's just say you add Debo and a Christian Kirk, and you draft the Harold Fannin. Do you still get a receiver in this class?
more likely no.
Because Harold Fannin, he can line up in the slots. Just like Ben Sinnott has snaps of him lining up in the slot.
More likely no, I wouldn't because I would feel very more comfortable with the wide receiver room than last year. And you add a big play target over the middle that you can flank out wide. You can put him at H back. You can put him split. Like you can do a lot of things with him. Um, I wouldn't be mad about going that route.
I wouldn't either.
So my second question is: last episode on the draft, we talked about safeties, and do you feel like do you feel like you are content with Quan Martin being the starting safety, even there's a safety in the draft better than him at free safety?
Where am I picking the safety at?
Let's say let's say you're picking you find Xavier Ward at
Xavier Watts
I mean Xavier Ward, it's my fault. I don't know why I say Ward.
in the first round.
No, second round.
It really depends on who else is on the board, bro. It depends. It really depends. It's really hard for me to answer that. Like, it just depends on who's on the board. Like let's say an Omari and Hampton is there and Xavier Watts is there. Who are you picking? Or let's just say TJ Sanders is there and he's there.
At 61?
You think TJ Sanders won't be there at 61?
No, I'm saying like those three players at 61.
I'm just giving
No,
examples. Like,
I agree with you. Let me clear this up. I agree with you. He definitely could be there. But those three players, I'm taking Amarion Hampton.
okay. Now, if it's Xavier Watts and let's say a Trey Harris, um, or let's just say I don't know what tackle could be there. I don't think um, Simmons would be there. He won't be there. Um, Charles, I know people talk about Charles Grant a lot. He's not going in the second unless somebody really bets on his athletic size.
That's my coworker's brother, by the way.
Really,
Yeah.
he's good. That boy good.
Yeah.
He's like very explosive. His his uh his 10-yard split when you compare it to the past previous draft prospects, you look at the receivers on that board, it is insane. It's insane. I have to find that. But Xavier Watts on this team will be really good. Or even Nick Emenwari. If he's there, that'd be really cool to see. You
That's
you
that's the guy, that's
yeah,
the guy Big Dub been touting up.
yeah. Nick Emenwari is good. I know Deuce looked at film on him today and he said he don't got good his hips aren't fluid. But his speed makes up for that. Like if he gets his hips together, more gonna be scary. If you develop him, he's going to be probably a top three safety in the NFL. He's a heat-seeking missile. He can be a ball hawk. You even got Malachi Starks from Georgia. You got him too, who's really good. Um, those three safeties, or even Sebastian Castro from Iowa. I'm not sure about him, but people talk about him as well. Um, it just depend. It really depends on who's there, bro. Like that's what it is for me.
I feel you. I just wanted to pick your brain a bit.
Yeah. So the tomorrow is going to be the D line.
D
So we're going.
line, I believe linebackers, yes.
So we're going to see Jalen Walker from Georgia, who I think is really talented. You're going to see Jai Campbell from Alabama,
Mm-hmm.
who's a very versatile piece. You can move him around the D line. Um, you got the other kid from Georgia, Samuel Monson.
Samar Monson.
Samar Monson. Yeah, you got him too. But like you got Samar Stewart, Kyle Kennard, T.J. Sanders, Nick Scorton, Mike Green, James Pierce, Princely, Donovan from Boston College, Jack Sawyer, JT. I don't know how you pronounce his last name.
Tui Molau.
You got him. Like, there's going to be a plethora of guys that you're going to have your eye on.
Yeah.
But like I said before, Adam Peters know what he wants. He wants that freak at that position. they're not going to get a Mike Green. They're not going to get they may not get a James Pierce. But if this character concerns with James Pierce, if he falls to 29, you take him. You run to the podium and you take him. But he's looking for that specific physical frame for an edge. 6'5" guy, certain weight, certain arm length, speed and power. Some type of pass rushing bend. A guy that's just a dog. That's what he's looking for, and there's plenty of that in this draft. Plenty of it. You want an every down edge rusher. You want a guy that can play every down. Right now, they don't have that, and they have to find that. Some way, somehow, they have to find that.
Yep, most definitely, bro. And we're gonna find out tomorrow, most definitely. Well, we're gonna evaluate tomorrow. I'll say that with a clear sense. We're gonna evaluate it. Get some eyes on a couple of guys.
Mm-hmm.
So, look like we're gonna wrap things up a little bit here. Felt like we got some good information today. Um, Caleb, any final words on this combine? What do you want to come out of it, and where people can
But
follow?
I just want to see, no injuries for these prospects, of course. I just want to see how talented these guys are, and guys who I'm going to keep my eye on. How explosive they are. They're 40 times. They're 10-yard splits. Everything. Like that's what I want to see with these cats, man. And let's make some moves this offseason. Let's make the right moves.
Gotcha. Where people can follow you, man.
Uh, CXLEBJXSTIN. You can follow me there. Um, I'm mostly on the app. Sometimes like I don't do not disturb because I work and whatnot, but um, going through it right now because basketball season is about. It sucks for me right now, but it's cool. It's cool. It's cool. It's cool. It's cool. But you can follow me on there.
All right, you guys can follow me at D Cleveland Jr. on Twitter. You guys can follow me, DT Sensei, on Instagram. Also follow my YouTube page at Darius Racing Ins and Out the podcast. Dropped a couple of episodes. Did Shadur Sanders versus Cam Ward's debate. Did a mock draft 1.0. And I also did what are the things Commanders need to learn from the Philadelphia Eagles to become NFC champions. Those are all on the new podcast, Ins and Out the podcast. Drop any episode when I have the time for it. But that's all we got for y'all tonight, man. We'll be coming back next week as we will be recapping the combine, the biggest risers and the biggest losers, and who are some guys that to us look like future Washington Commanders. It's your boy DT. We got your boy Caleb. This is Command Time Podcast presented by the Fans First Sports Network, live on YouTube. Catch you around next time, next week. Y'all stay safe, everybody.
Got me feeling so free, free.